is, in my opinion, exactly what's wrong with college sports right now. It's a cash grab. Nico Iamaleava is a wildly talented quarterback from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, because we don't have it in detail from either side. But in the people that we've spoken to and the reports that are out there, he asked for it, and I apologize. I'm fighting the cough.
It's all right.
He asked for a significant pay raise.
Yeah.
Tennessee said no.
And here was the situation allegedly.
Allegedly.
So Nico's camp, their argument was, hey, our NIL agreement was for the regular season, right? Hey, we're going to play our regular season slate, and we're happy to give you, a conference championship game if it gets to that. You can throw that in,
A
no
bonus.
problem, cool. But their argument is, hey, our boy here, Nico, took you guys to the CFP. We want more money for that. Allegedly.
That's
what's being reported.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And so what happened was, allegedly, again, I'm just going to keep saying that, not to be repetitive.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
allegedly,
Alleged.
Nico was pissed off and upset before their CFP game. And this had been a problem inside the program for a couple of weeks, according to reporting on this. So the question really comes down to, with NIL contracts, should there be kickers for the CFP? And I have to say, conceptually, yes, I think there should be. The problem with that is, though, you signed a deal that had nothing to do with the college football playoff, right? Like, NIL contracts right now, typically, from what we've seen, right, so far in this experience, are not structured in such a way that says, hey, if you get us to the CFP, you're going to get additional NIL payments. It's very much like, hey, this is the number, this is what you're getting, and that's it. So I don't love this out of these guys.
Look, I think Iamaleava is a wildly talented quarterback. I think that, do I blame him? No. Who I blame is the college football system. That's who I blame. And I look at the system that's in place right now, it fosters this kind of behavior. Do I think that Nico should have demanded more money? Well, yeah, because that's the system that is in place. We've put kids in a place to be greedy. We've taught them to ask for more because more will be given. And Tennessee drew a line in the sand with Nico and said, we're not giving you any more, take it or leave it, and he left it. And now, what is the system done? The system has put Nico in a position where he's got to go out and try to find a job. And one source today told me he's, quote, radioactive. And we've heard all the stories now. We've heard that Dan Lanning at Oregon is the one that blew this up. When he heard from Nico's people, he went back to Tennessee and said, hey, your guy and his people are banging down my door trying to get a pay raise. And that's where all of this started, allegedly. And I would also point out that Dan Lanning, the head coach at Oregon, did not deny that he did that. And we've been working on this story for several days. I was told the other day that, hey, USC is an option. Then it comes out today that USC has told Nico's people, we want nothing to do with Nico. We can't be seen to do business with somebody like this. And I'd remind you, Nico's from Long Beach. He should be a USC Trojan.
Facts.
Why is he not? Because he took the money on Rocky Top, and now that money's not good enough. And Jake, I think this is exactly what's wrong with the system. We're all going to blame Nico for this.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that is it his fault? No. Did he make bad decisions? Probably. But is he really the villain here, or is it the system?
Well, I think it's partially the system, but I also want to play this bite from Josh Heupel, because I think this conversation about, hey, well, because as usual, the whole situation is lost in the gray area of when did you know, when did you not know?
Yes.
Like, when was Nico and his camp all pissed off? And this whole thing about like, hey, well, Nico no-showed for a Friday practice. And that's why he's, out. That's when at that time, that's why he's out. I don't love that Josh Heupel and Tennessee are choosing to not be transparent, because you're going to hear from another guy in a minute who's very transparent on this. And we've heard coaches talk about, hey, like, we don't, like, you guys remember the Boise State head coach all those months ago saying, like, we want guys that want to be here. And Brian Kelly did that whole thing in the preseason
Oregon
about,
State.
Oregon State, right? Like, we've had these coaches
Mike
come
Gundy.
out. Mike Gundy, right? Like, hey, we
Can't
don't want
afford
those
him.
guys. Like, so listening to Josh Heupel right here say that Nico's out because he didn't show up to practice is a little bit rich.
Was it apparent to you that you would be moving forward?
Friday morning, when he's a no-show, you come off the practice field and there's no communication.
Iamaleava.
So Josh, let me get
didn't
this
show
right,
up
dude.
to practice. Wasn't being a team guy. Was complaining during the pre-bowl run, the pre-CFP run rather, that he wasn't paid enough.
But that's not why he's out, right, Josh? He's out because there's no communication. So what you're telling me is if he had given you a reason as to why he didn't show up to practice, he wouldn't be out. That's the story you're going with, Josh.
Yeah, and then there's
Come on, bro.
Then there's this bite from Mario Cristobal at Miami, and I don't know. Do you guys agree with Mario Cristobal here?
We're not going to do that at Miami, and I say that without any hesitation. If anyone's thinking that, and they could be the best player in the world, if they want to play holdout, they might as well play get out. We don't want to do that. We don't want Miami to become that. Too many guys have sweated, bled, have laid it on the line on that field to ever become that kind of a player.
I don't think Nico Iamaleava is a terrible human being. I don't think he's greedy. I don't think he's out for a cash grab. This is the system we put in place. What did you think was going to happen? And what do I always tell you? We want change. Force that change through until there are unintended consequences, and then the kid's a son of a biscuit.
Bet you weren't expecting this one.
That's always what we do.
100%.
Let's just call it what it is in college sports. Oh, we want change. We're here. Education. These kids are getting a scholarship. Well, they sued you and you're losing billions. Pay those kids. They deserve it. That's what we do. The kid's a villain until the adult finds out how to make money. Funny thing is, I would assume that Mario is saying, well, we don't do NIL holdouts here at the...
If you want to hold out, you can get out.
The Harvard of South Beach. Yeah, you do. It probably just doesn't get messy in public.
Oh.
Like at the only 10 I see, and like at UNLV, and where we've had now quarterbacks.
Yeah,
leaving.
we remember Matthew Sluka.
But let me ask you. Speaking of the Slukification of Iamaleava, let me ask you something. Do you think this kid is now tarnished? You don't have to think he absolutely is, because I can tell you the other school that won't be signing him is Notre Dame. Notre Dame cannot be seen to do business with somebody the ilk of a greedy, cash-grabbing, money-hungry young man. Notre Dame's not touching that.
We built this program on NIL.
USC's not touching that. Could I see him going to UCLA? Sure. There's one school where he fits, and that'd be North Carolina with Bill Belichick. I truly think it's the only place he can go. Because of SEC rule books and whatnot, you can't transfer. He cannot transfer to another SEC school, so they're out. Who's going to take this guy? Oregon's a no. SC allegedly is a hard no. Notre Dame's a no. If you're Nico, I can see you wanting to go home and play at UCLA. That's a bad football team.
Yeah, you're not going from the SEC to UCLA.
I could see him going to North Carolina, who's actually got a really good staff and a lot of talent that's come in. I could see that happening.
On to Cincinnati.
The problem is he's going to be a villain. The problem is now we're going to victimize that kid. And I'm not saying that I agree with him going back and doing this and I'm not saying it's right. but you can't tell me it's wrong because that's the system we've put in place.
Yeah, I think that there's some of this that's on him, but I think most of it is on the system. I mean, we're going to talk about the NFL draft here later in the show, and there's a lot of conversation around some kid named Shador Sanders, and I remember all the haters early in Shador's tenure at Colorado who were giving him a bunch of crap about how he wore chains and, he was iced out at the combine and, everyone mocked him for his wristwatch celebration. But what's the difference? And this is what I think Nico and his camp don't understand. The difference is he was just showing off the money, right? He didn't screw anybody. He didn't put the program in a bad spot. He didn't make he didn't put a bad taste in anyone's mouth. Right. In the program, he didn't turn his back to anybody. He was just showing off because that's who, frankly, Dion was. And that's who he is. Nico is putting the only 10 I see and Josh Heupel in a tough position by negotiating this way. And I think, as usual in life, it comes back to one fundamental, which is it's the premise of the situation. Whether you want to talk about ESPN not putting Bryson in featured groups and suffering and being okay suffering, in my opinion, or you want to talk about this kid saying, hey, I'm the reason, because that would be the argument, right? If you think about it. Again, allegedly, the beef was, hey, our agreement for NIL money covered the regular season and potentially the SEC championship game if we get there. And lo and behold, we got to the college football playoff. We want more money. So the problem is, and to your point, I think he's radioactive because you made an ass of yourself in negotiations. The contract says one thing, and now you want something different, and that's not how it works.
I think I've talked to enough people today about this exact situation. I don't see how he can land anywhere but North Carolina. I just don't see how he can. I don't believe that Notre Dame, who is quarterback thirsty, let me break the news to you.
Mm-hmm.
In South Bend, we don't have a quarterback. Riley Leonard, who sucks according to his mom, is headed to the NFL draft, and CJ Carr, and oh my God, did anybody see Steve Angeli? And I did.
Yeah, Steve coming off the bench.
Nico Iamaleava is,
who the fuck is that guy?
Iamaleava would be a far better option at
Massive
Notre Dame.
Upgrade.
Only Notre Dame won't. He's 10-foot pole, dude. So I'm talking with a guy that I know in college football, and we're going through it. Like, I asked the cat, well, how does he not end up at USC? Well, I think a lot of people forget that Lincoln Riley's coaching for his job.
Yeah.
And I would also
Lincoln can't
remind
take
you,
that kind of
he's
risk.
got Jaden Maiyava on his roster already.
Yeah.
That's a really capable number one. His best fit, in my opinion, is Notre Dame. But I think he winds up at North Carolina.
Let me ask you this. With what we know about how Nico plays the game, and what we've seen just from a personality standpoint, I'm curious if Bill Belichick would have any concerns about this. Obviously, the kid can play, super entertaining, super capable. No, it's not a question of his on-field game. But knowing that this went down at Tennessee, if you're Bill Belichick and company, and frankly, the leadership at UNC, are you not sitting here saying, hey, we just had an absolute embarrassing basketball season by our standards, with all due respect?
With all due respect to Bubba and company, we got to make sure we get this done correctly, because this can't happen again. And I will also say that at some point the system, whether it's Bill Belichick, the greater group of head coaches in college football, at some point you have to have an understanding of who you're dealing with. Because at what point how many Matthew Slukas and whatever kid you want to point to, how many times is this going to happen where the kid's got a certain expectation, the expectation isn't met, and now we get to play this game of back and forth where it's on the school, it's on the kid, it's on the kid's agent. We're not dealing with agents. You know what I mean? Like, there's always some kind of beef between the two sides. And ultimately,
This is hurting Nico's draft stock. Make no mistake about it. Nico's reputation now is that he is money hungry. All he cares about is money. He does not care about his legacy or his reputation. And he does not care about being someone who is going to be who's going to be there to help build a roster, because we all know unequivocally the truth in NIL and the truth in recruiting is whether you're a wide receiver, a defensive player, hey, who's the quarterback of that football team? Because if you have a good quarterback and you have a number one and a guy who can carry you, that's going to make it a lot easier to go out and get guys.
Yeah, well, apparently Gio Lopez is going to North Carolina, according to under-the-table sources. A friend of mine in TV is texting me saying that that'd make it tough for Nico to go to North Carolina. I think he's got a very pinhole size landing spot. And I tend to agree with the pun. If North Carolina is truly getting Gio Lopez from South Alabama, forget it. He's a better fit for North Carolina than Nico is. He's going to take a pay cut because he allegedly got a bag to go to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know where else he goes. It is.
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's going to come down to somebody somewhere saying, "Hey, yeah, we'll risk taking a little bit of a hit to our reputation to go ahead and bring you in." But again, and you know, you're famous on the show for saying unintended consequences. I highly doubt that Nico or Nico's camp, the folks he talks to, and his advisors considered the idea that, hey, well, what if Tennessee says no and says, hey, here's the bird. What if they say that and then we look money hungry and we leave? Then what do we do? Because now if Bill says no and it's true that Gio's going to UNC, that means you're going out to the open market essentially. You don't have an auto in somewhere and you don't have leverage. Because I got news for Nico and company. Bro, people are not just going to let you do whatever the hell you want to do anymore. You're not just going to walk in and say, yep, you're paying us $1 million and that's what it is and we'll leave if we want. Now, that's all over with now. You're going to have to commit and sign paper that says you're going to be there if someone's going to sign you because of what you did here.
Yeah, I feel bad for the kid. Because again, these are adults making decisions for him.
Do you really believe that? You think that it's less him and more his people?
I do. That's how it always is in these situations. If you said to a kid, hey, you're making $6 million, do you want 10? We can get you 10. Dan Lanning will give you 10. Do you think he's going to say no?
And Dan Lanning's not helping this kid at all.
At all. Blew him up. And almost chuckled about it today. Like, you're in a terrible spot. Because I just don't know how many.
That's what I struggle with here. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about Nico as a dude. Like, am I supposed to feel like, hey, this isn't Nico being money hungry. This is his people forcing him to go down this route. Or am I supposed to feel like, no, you know what? Nico is money hungry. And he is trying to make as much money for his family as possible, let's say. Let's say that's his motive. You know, then am I supposed to say, all right, well, if that's the motive, then it's okay? Like, that's the problem here is I don't think that people, and this is my experience. I don't know how to feel about this. I can tell you that I don't love that this is the conversation we have to have. That I don't love that over the weekend we had, I believe it wasn't a reporter. It was like there was a video going around allegedly of Arch Manning's family plane being at an airport near Rocky Top, allegedly. And this is the type of stuff that gets perpetuated. So this happens with Tennessee. Then all of a sudden, what do we get? Oh, well, Arch and this and that. It's like, dude, bro, we don't need this type of stuff to keep happening. And that's why stuff like the house settlement and any other issues that you see on the table in college athletics, they need to get worked out so we can have boilerplate contracts and we can have specific terms that are negotiable, because that's why it works so well in the NFL, right? We never have this in the NFL.
Because you don't have guys asking to double their pay.
Yes, you do, but it's before they sign paper.
Yeah, it's very rare that you see an unproven commodity. And I think Iamaleava is still unproven.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have unproven guys asking to double their pay in the NFL. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, and I think that's another thing for him, because just the way you say he's unproven, there are definitely other people who say, well, he just led his team in the college football playoff. What more do you need to see?
Well,
And
I'm
it's
not
like-
saying he's a bad quarterback.
Right,
Like,
I know,
but
yeah.
what if you read the stories on Nico?
Yeah.
He wasn't a vocal leader, and he was trying to fix that in spring and had made some progress. But you were paying him $2 million, and there's a lot of people who tell you, yeah, he was explosive, but there's a lot of other people who tell you that defense is what carried Tennessee, which is what we talked about.
Yeah.
That's where the only 10 I see came from, because that defense was unbelievable.
Yeah. Why do you think he was able to be so aggressive?
I am of the belief that this is I could see him ending up at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Because this North Carolina story is fluid. There are people out there reporting that Lopez from South Alabama is going to North Carolina now. If that is the case, he's the perfect fit in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
But make no mistake about it. My firm belief and my firm opinion here is that Iamaleava is a victim of the people around him.
And if that's the case, that's a damn shame.
That's the only way that I can fathom. You asked to double your pay and then cut off communication. Because in football culture, there's no such thing as cutting off communication.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who your
And
starting
again,
quarterback
that's what
is.
Josh Heupel said, right? No communication was the main reason as to when he knew that Nico was out.
Was it apparent to you that you would be moving forward?
Friday morning, when he's a no-show, you come off the practice field and there's no communication.
He allegedly has not spoken to in person, on the phone, or in text with anybody at Tennessee, which makes you believe, if reports are true, he dropped a take it or leave it offer on Heupel's desk and they said, well, leave it. We're not going to take it. You can go. And he's going to go, or he's going to try to go. But I think it's awfully difficult to sit here and believe that this is just a nothing burger.
Yeah.
And
the Gio Lopez thing is exploding now as Pete Thamel's in on it.
well, there you go.
Saying that UNC, quote, UNC looms as the expected leader for Gio Lopez once he enters the portal. He has 3 years of eligibility remaining.
Well, and that's the big thing, that Nico is Nico's in trouble.
Yeah.
Nico's in trouble here. And I think am I wrong, you guys, in the comments section? And there's over 1,000 people watching the show right now. Hit the like button. If you're on X, Facebook, any of our social Snapface media platforms,
Such as in
come
via
over to
social
YouTube.
media.
Just search the Monty Show on Google. Our YouTube channel comes right up. If you're on X, the link is in my bio. Come on over, hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Is it outlandish to think he goes back to Tennessee? I don't think it's outlandish, and I don't think he's getting a pay raise.
But
And
again, if it's his people, then the biggest struggle is going to be eating a slice of humble pie. Because, I mean, I'm inclined to think just based on doing this thing long enough, watching negotiations like this play out. I mean, typically, my opinion, what you would see here, if you were to go back to Tennessee, would be that Tennessee would give him a little bit more money. They give him, a couple $100,000 extra, let's say, just to kind of meet in the middle, if you will. And then he'll come back, and then that'll kind of be the end of it. But I don't know, man. I agree with you. I think it's weird that it's just like, hey, double our pay and then nothing.
I'm telling you,
That's odd.
his numbers don't dictate a $4 million payday. And they don't dictate doubling his pay. They don't. And I look at the Ohio State busting that Nico ass. He went 14 of 31 for 104 yards, no touchdowns, 4 sacks, and 47 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And I understand, in my opinion, as I espoused on this show all year, that Ohio State defense was one of the best defenses I've ever seen in college football.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Winners win in big moments. And Nico did not perform.
Here are some names just to add to the melting pot here. Top NIL earners in college athletics. Arch Manning right now is a top earner at $6.5 million.
And I think he's unproven, but he's in a different category.
And he is marketable as hell.
Yep.
Carson Beck. Interesting story here. $4.3 million. Obviously transferred to Miami. Interesting. Okay. Jeremiah Smith, $4 million. I would say as proven gets. Don't think there's any question about what Buddy can do. Okay. I like that number a lot. DJ Lagway, I would say, is unproven. Right? Has a lot to prove. But again, when you go to Florida, $3.8 million valuation, inclined to think that he's going to do some nice things there. Come down this list a little bit. Just some other names that are hanging around for quarterbacks. You've got Cade Klubnik, Clemson, $3.3 million.
Yeah, you can't make any. Cade Klubnik has performed at a much better level, outperformed expectations. I think he's an average-ass quarterback. That's just my opinion.
Right.
He's outperformed Nico, and I think he's performed in big moments that took them to the top of that conference.
And there are 4 guys right here next to each other. Nico's one of the 4. Listen to these other names. You've got Drew Aller at $3.2 million.
He's better than Drew Aller.
Nico is.
Yes.
Okay. Nico is at 3.1, according to this. And this is on 3's valuations. Then you've got Sam Levitt, ASU, $3 million even.
Boy, that's close.
Right? And so the point is, like, Big 12 fans, Josh Hoover, $2.6 million. I'm inclined to think that Josh Hoover is going to have a big year. And by the time we get halfway through the season, we're having a different conversation. So my point in all of this is, you can go up and down this list, right? Caleb Downs, 2.4, Dylan Raiola, 2.3. Like, you can go up and down this list and pull some names. The point is that not only do the numbers not dictate that you should be making $4 million plus,
man,
but the valuations. Hey, where do you stack up against what other guys are making? Where do you stack up amongst your peers from a performance standpoint and a marketability standpoint versus how much you should be paid? He has no basis to say I should be making 4.
I agree.
And that's the problem for him here. So when you have no basis and you make the claim and then it's like, hey, well, the opportunity at UNC is drying up. I don't know if the relationship at Tennessee is repairable. I just don't know where this cat's going to go. What are you going to take a step back and go to a G5 or something? No. Yeah, I mean, you're obviously going to stay at the power level, I would assume.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. But I think he's getting terrible advice. I'll continue to say that.
And that's the other side of it. At what point do kids start saying, hey, I'm making $2 million or whatever, what this says he's making $3 to play college football, bro? And if I just...
Yeah, but I don't even think it's to play college football. You're an underperformer in your own league, and you asked for double. That's not you asking for double. You don't have the balls to walk into Heupel's office and say, hey, coach, I'm not a top performer in the SEC. I'm going to need to double my pay.
Come on.
That's what I struggle with. And, if he doesn't end up at North Carolina and Gio Lopez does, I would agree that Gio Lopez is a better dual threat quarterback. They're very similar passers statistically and performance-based.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Nico did it in the SEC. South Alabama's I know that you guys will find this hard to believe. South Alabama's schedule, and I know strength of schedule doesn't mean anything to the scumbag liars at Michigan, but, strength of schedule matters. Nico did it on an SEC schedule.
Yeah.
That matters to me.
Certainly.
If they take Gio Lopez over Iamaleava, I think you're You're watching everything you need to know. And if you look at quarterbacks, and you start to understand that league, and I look at some of the numbers, is he Jackson Dart at 4,200 yards? No, he's not. He's 8th in the SEC. And you want to double your number? You're behind Nussmeier and Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers and Tate. You're behind. You don't have the passing numbers that Taylor Green has. Let that sink in. You're behind Jalen Milroe. Nico, Bud.
Monty.
Jalen Milroe's, no but Monty's. Jalen Milroe's got better statistics than you throwing
You
the
don't
ball.
always have to be negative.
Let that sink in, kid. You can't tell me that Nico's the one that walked into Heupel's office and asked for double, because those are the reports. The reports are, excuse me, he's making 2. He asked for 4.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the widely available reports.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that. And I look at Peyton Thorne outperform Nico. Now, it's by 100 yards, but he outperformed him. Yeah. And I think the other thing that really stands out are the touchdown numbers. Nico threw 19 touchdowns and 5 picks. Peyton Thorne threw 21. Taylor Green threw 15. Let's see. Excuse me. Quinn Ewers threw 31. Carson Beck 28. Nussmeier 29. And Jackson Dart 29. Those are the guys who should be getting double. Not the guy in Iamaleava who completed 63.8% of his passes, 2,600 yards, and 19 touchdowns. In the SEC, those aren't great numbers. And yeah, is he better than Lagway? Yeah. Is he better than, everybody's All-American Diego Pavia at Vandy? Of course he is.
Jackson Dart's making $2 million a year.
And you're asking for double. But Jackson Dart also was at USC. And Jackson Dart is more seasoned and more, I think it's the people around Nico that are killing him right now.
So here's a question then. And we all know this
Good
guy.
Lord.
Right? We all know this guy. The obnoxious, a-hole sports parent who can't get out of their own way and hurts their kid's future. I mean, at what point do these programs, keep the parents out of the office? I mean, at what point do you set some guidelines and boundaries around like, hey, you're not Dad, you're not gonna have Josh Heupel's phone number. Sorry, bro.
But everybody's got an agent now. Everybody's got a somebody now, and you're
a handler.
Excuse me. Damn with this cough. I apologize. Everybody's got a handler.
Yeah.
Right? Like at what point do we, and you can rip Deion Sanders all you want, and I know that's popular sport nowadays. I have a hard time believing that Deion Sanders is going to have something like this happen. Because 1, I think he pays well. 2, I think the relationship is very different with a guy like Deion Sanders. And I think he just understands what a 19, 20-year-old kid is going through. I think that's very different. And I could be wrong. And Lord knows I've never been wrong before. So
Obviously.
There's a first time for everything.
Of course.
Obviously. But I just don't believe that you're getting great advice here. So enough of us, more of you. Let's get to your comments here on the Monty Show, presented by our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Matt Ritson says Stanford needs a quarterback.
Yeah.
And they have the money to pay.
But again, Stanford's not going to go after a guy like Nico. They're not.
Can you imagine Stanford doing that? I can't imagine Stanford doing that.
No, I can't. I can't. I can't imagine Stanford doing that. And that's why I say, if you're right that this is his people doing this and this was not driven by Nico, that's in my opinion, that is a crying shame. Because it's one thing if the kid is just out of his mind, is just out of his depth, as they say, and is asking for too much and is misguided, and hey, we need to correct that. Okay, hey, maybe that's a coaching opportunity. Maybe that's a development opportunity. Okay, man, that's one thing. But if Nico doesn't really have a say in this, and let's say this is daddy ball, this is his parents, like, or whoever in his camp doing this, that's just ridiculous. And at some point, there's got to be guardrails around it.
Yeah. Johnny Gonzalez, if I'm Nico, find a school that has more of a twig than you are. I don't know if that's possible because I think Nico's 103 pounds with his equipment on. And wait for the starter to get hurt and then win the Heisman. Yeah, I don't know about that. Hey, Capazzo.
Hey.
How's life in good old Jeezy land? He's so radioactive that he's going to end up playing for the Gundinator at Oak State. Okie Light.
Maybe he can run some stairs too.
Ooh. Eric Wasikowski. Old Bill had no concerns about Hernandez. Well, I don't know that anybody knew what Hernandez was.
Why does Hernandez have to come up in this?
Well, because we always look at past actions. But
yeah, we're focused on the Jets today.
Look, listen, if you take Gio Lopez, I'd rather have Nico. But I think Gio Lopez is less of a risk.
Yeah. Here's why I think that trying to have the conversation of, hey, well, Bill was cool with this guy or that guy at the NFL level doesn't work for the position he's in now. Number one, when it comes to Aaron, because that's what you brought up.
Aaron.
That guy was mentally ill and killed people. So let's make sure before we start comparing players, we understand what the situation is and we find a more palatable comparison, number one. Because Nico is guilty of no crime other than allegedly wanting more money. Allegedly. So that's number one. Number two, Bill Belichick can't afford to have a risk at quarterback. And the last thing a guy like the Hoodie and his girlfriend need right now are
his girlfriend.
Yeah. We all saw the video of Bill's girlfriend running around the field at practice. The last thing those two need right now.
You think that's in NIL deals that she has to run around practice?
I think so. I think it was in Bill's contract that he could let his girlfriend run around. And, you know, we all remember the LSU head coach, the Go Tigers, can't remember his name.
Ed Ogeron.
We all remember how that worked out for good old Ed O.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, Go Tigers. But my point is that Bill Belichick can't afford to have that kind of problem.
But he's also got Mike Lombardi there as his general manager. And I don't know
Mike
why.
Is very capable.
I don't know why these universities want to bring in football and basketball players to be current NBA and Max Crosby. I can't remember where he went today, but he's going to be the assistant general manager of a football program. He's got time for that.
Because all they want to be able to do. I agree with you. Max isn't going to be there a whole lot. But what do they want? Hey, Max, trying to get this kid to come in. Would you mind jumping on a FaceTime? Would you mind, talking to this kid?
Yeah.
Hey, you went to the NFL. Can you help us? Like, that's all that is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's all they're trying to do.
Eastern Michigan is an assistant general manager for Max Crosby.
So let me get this right. You're recruiting against the big house in Michigan State.
And he went there. Granted, he's an alum. We should know. But it's just, anyway.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick doesn't have a former player there. He's got Mike Lombardi, who's an executive, who is proven as a manager.
Yeah.
I understand. I get that. I think that Bill Belichick needs a splash at the head coaching position as in his first year as a college head coach, and he needs a splash at the quarterback position. Gio Lopez is a much more solid guy, in my opinion, just because he's a dual threat stud. Now, he does have a turf toe injury. You kind of worry about that, but I don't know. Boyd Lake, do you think Belichick takes him? I think he would, but he's not going to take him over Gio Lopez. Florida State will pay him $4 million for a backup quarterback.
And he's not going to do that.
No. Nico isn't going to Oak State. The Cowboys have Haas Hengy and Zane Flores.
See, that's a great joke, dude. I appreciate you saying that. That's really well done. Nice job. Nice job, dude. I appreciate your efforts to troll on the show today. That was really well done, dude.
I'm not playing this Brandon Weeden game with you today, James. We all know that Brandon Weeden is your starting quarterback. We get it.
Yeah.
He should be pissed at his agents for putting it in his head that he could get more money. That's exactly right. Chase, I do think Lopez is good for you guys. I think he'd be a solid pickup for North Carolina. Noel Ramirez. Now, Jake, it seems to me that you're hating on Nico because he stacks paper to the ceiling and rides on 24-inch crow. Stay home.
I'm not hating on a kid. All I'm saying is,
Look, he's got a downpipe and a Cobb tune on his
listen,
car.
dude, if you're gonna run the pop tune through the program, you better have them numbers to back it up, bro. You're gonna straight pipe that Honda out back. You better be throwing touchdowns.
Johnny Gonzalez, Dan Lanning floated the higher money amount and then ratted him out. He did. Can you imagine? Nico gets signed at Oak State or any other college. He shows up in an 89 Honda, I don't know, like Civic hatchback.
Yeah.
On 24s, catless. He's got the big Hoonigan sticker across the windshield. He's got like one of those.
He's got the tiki doll on the dash.
He's got the intercooler mounted on the front of the car instead of up underneath the bumper because there's no room for an intercooler on one of those. I can't say what John Goodman calls them, but and then he's got, what do you call it? The thing that goes, woo, 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 woo. He's got like the upgraded turbo, but the
blow off valve,
the whatever, the
intake,
the air intake,
in, such as in like,
like the,
yeah.
Nico pulling up.
Kind of like I pulled
just
up,
got paid.
Yeah.
And he pulls up in a beefed up Honda Civic. Oh, our quarterback's here. And he's rocking like a T-Mobile sidekick for a phone.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that guy?
What kind of car would you just lose your minds over? Like an old Acura Integra.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 97 Acura Integra. Or
MR2?
An old MR2, a rusted out crap box. Like literally it's a cat box, right? Or he rolls up in like his now dead grandma's old Buick.
What about an Astro van?
Oh God, how many dead souls are in the back of that thing? Right? Can you imagine? No, because what's going to happen is he's going to pull up in a Bugatti and be like, see, it worked out.
It wasn't good enough money. I need more money.
Listen here. Listen. I told you guys I was worth $4 million a year, and Tuskegee State agreed. You're never going to see me play again, but look at my Bugatti. That's probably what's going to happen. Yeah, how about a gremlin from Wayne's World? Oh my God. Or what about one of those, you guys remember the old Pontiac Firebird, like the pace car for NASCAR? It's got the big Firebird on the hood. Oh my God. That would be amazing. Noel Ramirez, a Jurassic Park Jeep that was used in the first Jurassic Park. Yeah, Jeep JL. You mean Jeep Wrangler JL?
Yeah, the Sahara.
Yeah, put a 3-inch lift kit on it, and now I can't even get in the damn thing.
Yeah.
Jungle ropes. What do you do? Yes, Johnny, Nico, a G-Wagon on lease. Yeah, he doesn't own it. He leases it. Amazing.
Because shit's going good.
That's where we are. Yeah. Well, no, how about a new Volkswagen van? One of those E-vans. That's an NIL deal. Nico, listen.
Guys.
Johnny's Shitbox Factory down the street, that's a used car shop. They want to do an NIL deal with you. Free cars. Now, I don't want you to read too much into it. It is a Chevy Caprice from the Blues Brothers, but that's a historic car.
You're welcome.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? AMC Pacer. Yes. How about a Chevy Nova? Jake, you don't even know what a Nova is, do you? Come on. I knew Mr. Big from Wayne's World. Okay. I like it. Okay, before we get too far away. Is this what college football is now? Is college football forever broken here? I think it is.
Yeah.
Tell me it's not. Tell me it's not. I think this is who we are.
Well, and I think these head coaches taking a firm stance one way or the other and being, there's a clear delineation of, hey, I'm the head coach who's going to be outspoken in public about this, and I'm the head coach that is not really going to talk about it, and I'll just deal with it on a case-by-case basis, is really fascinating to watch. I mean, Mario Cristobal is not a guy that's, been out here, winning national championships every 5 years, and yet here he is saying, I'm not going to have
He went
that.
home.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
The prodigal son returned to Miami.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, dude.
And promptly disappointed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, throw in a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 7. How about what's wrong? You couldn't pull Eagle Talon off the top of your head? Come Eagle Talon. Anybody a Dodge Diplomat, maybe? Amazing. I think this sucks. Let's just this situation with Nico in Tennessee and wherever he ends up, the Nico Iamaleava story. You say it fast 10 times.
Iamaleava.
Jerks. I think the Nico Llama story is one that
Llama.
That's where I'm at. Iamaleava.
Yes.
The Iamaleava story is one that we're going to remember.
And I agree with what you've got in the headline here. It is a saga. It is, right? Like this is not some like one day story that kind of is just a flash in the pan and we're over it. This is a ongoing, drag it out, super public, story. And at some point, these kids and their people are going to learn that you can't just try to beat people over the head with, hey, I'm the starting quarterback, pay me all the money. That doesn't work anymore, man. Like your valuation is based on how good you play and also your marketability, in my opinion.
But is he ever better than a DJ Uiagalelei?
I don't know.
Who transferred multiple times and then flames at Florida State?
I mean, let's be careful because DJU, with all due respect to him, hasn't exactly lit the college football playoff on fire.
But he was very good. He was very good at Oregon State. I don't think any of us argue that, right?
Yeah.
But is he ever any better than a Jake Heaps? Is he ever any better than any of these quarterbacks that transfer all over the place and think that they're sliced bread? And the answer is probably not. Because it's very rare, and maybe Cam Ward is a great exception. It's very rare that you see a kid hop school to school and dominate. That's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably pick those guys out on one hand.
Will Howard.
Right? Will Howard. But maybe this is where college football is going. I don't see this ending well for Nico.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it ending well for him.
And this is a point you always make on the show. At some point, what's he going to have to do? At some point, he will have to stand in the pocket. He will have to deliver the football, and he will have to do that with the game on the line.
He will. He will. I don't know.
At some point.
Hey, college football. Vic Vinegar.
This would be a great take.
College football is broken because Michigan let Matt Weiss steal everyone's nudes. Could be. I mean, you're not wrong. It always goes back to Michigan, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Lopes fan Gabe, what you know about the 2015 Scion XB slammed on 13 Dayton's? Listen,
bro.
When I hear Scion XB, I think of Samantha and this lonely parking lot down by the silos on the south side.
Honestly, I'd start stroking guys.
20
you
bucks.
Get stroked.
And the cost of gas, obviously, because gas ain't cheap these days.
Biologics.
Didn't all of the lonely girls drive Scions? Didn't they always drive the Scion?
Yes.
They always did. That's so good. So good. Kia Cadenza, anyone? Rip. Oh, yeah. Geez.
Dude.
The Kyron Lacey story. Did you guys hit?
Nah, I don't want to do that, dude.
Man.
Check on
Brutal.
your people, bro.
Pontiac Sunbird. What about the Chrysler Crossfire? Oh, I can pull old cars all day long. I can. Oh God, I said Michigan one time, and look who comes out of the woodwork.
That's the issue, isn't it?
Now, do we say his name even?
No, give him one chance. Is it a good comment? Is it a comment that adds to the show? Good is not a good label. Is it a comment that adds to the show today, that makes things better?
Because this particular individual was here advocating for Matt Weiss a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then the comment section ran his ass out of town. We'll leave it at that. A 91 Fiesta. Hey, don't knock it till you try it. I had I think a 90s, early 90s Geostorm.
What do you think? What do you think what car in your life that you've had have you enjoyed the most? Doesn't have to be the nicest or the fastest. What do you think? Because you've had you were somebody who did a new every two kind of thing with your car, right? You'd always make sure you got a good deal, you trade in, and I love that. You've had a lot of cars.
What, like as an adult?
Yeah, sure.
Or the 5 Series.
The
My
5
BMW
Series was
5
your
Series.
favorite. Well, I know you liked your Volvo a lot that you had. Yes,
No, the 5 Series was Jules. I had a blacked out, murdered out, bro. I had a blacked out BMW 535 M Sport that was. We blew a turbo actuator on the 101 in Scottsdale doing
racing an STI hatchback,
and then we got it fixed. And because pimps are going to pimp, it's what we do. Almost the moment we got it back, we took it out to the 60 and raced a dude. And we were just, we were out there by ourselves. It's not like we were doing this at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
The 60 freeway from Tempe out to God knows where.
Ahwatukee.
Like, no, not Ahwatukee. Shut up. From Tempe, the 60.
Yeah. What?
The 60 from like the west end of Mesa all the way out to like La Sendes Country Club. Like you just go out to like the dam. I can't remember the name of the town that's way out there. We did that in like 37 seconds. We were running with some dude. I'll never forget looking down and being at like triple digits, well into the triple digits.
Mm-hmm.
I allegedly.
Yeah.
I would never do such a thing. But my favorite car I've ever owned is probably my old Nissan Z28 was like the first car that I bought for $500 and constantly had to put brake fluid in it. But that car was fun.
What about the SQ5?
I got such a good deal on the SQ5 because I traded in a Toyota Tacoma that I had built. Yeah, I think the SQ5 was good.
Mm-hmm.
The BMW,
the
BMW with the offset wheels, I think it had 23s and or like the
rear wheel drive,
much wider tires in back. Like that car was a rocket ship.
Yeah.
A rocket ship, dude. Like, come on. I live like 20 miles from Daytona Beach, and the amount of 2007 Dodge Charger Daytona cars I've seen is insane. I am amazed that we were in Chicago.
Dude.
Does every 25-year-old adult male there drive a Dodge Challenger?
Now listen to me. You would not have to get me to work hard to own a SRT Grand Cherokee. Not a Trackhawk.
It's called a CERT.
Just a CERT.
Oh.
I love that vehicle. I love and again, the problem that people get into with Dodge is they want to just be the fastest guy out there. That's not even really what I'm interested in.
No.
I really just enjoy the experience of rolling around with a big V8. It's just a lot of fun.
And I have that in my Jeep Grand Cherokee. I have a Hemi V8.
It's just enjoyable. And so it's like this whole deal where like Chicago is just the trip was amazing. You know, love the city. Dude, we're going to have a conversation here. What time is it? We're going to have a conversation here in about, 90 minutes or whatever about Blinker Guy sitting wherever the hell Blinker Guy thinks he can sit
Oh my
and
God.
just ignoring everybody else in the world, dude.
Capazzo. A 1990 Chevy Beretta.
Mm.
Do you know how much blood flow was below the waist the first time I ever saw that car? Oh my God. If there are 3 Chevy pickups got the job done. My baby is my 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500
Yeah, dude.
with the 3.0 Dirty Max, tons of power, great fuel mileage for a full-size pickup. Dude, pickups are where people are at. I love my Honda Civic. Oak State James said, I love...
Bro, hold on. I'm legitimately asking because I don't want to be an a-hole about this. Are you legitimately driving a Honda Civic as a full-grown adult? I need to ask.
Nobody willingly drives a Honda Civic. Nobody. You're either broke, you're a Michigan fan, and you're transporting hard drives with nudes in it, because you're never getting pulled over in that thing.
Because it's illegal.
Right? I mean, I can't think of another reason you would drive a Honda Civic. I can't. There's no way.
Or you're a gambling man and you need your 25-year roof and,
There's no way. Corey, 2021 F-150 XLT. That's a truck.
Yeah.
That's a truck. Big Blue Horses. Hello. My first car was a blue 77 Olds Delta 88 with a 403 8-track AC, power everything. Took a quarter tank of gas to start and got 10 feet to the gallon. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Again, back when gas was 50 cents a gallon.
Dude, do you guys remember the Oldsmobile line? You don't remember the Oldsmobile line. Oh, my God. My God. I want a BYD Yuan Plus. Okay.
Whatever the hell that is.
I'm not really sure what that means. I think you should go to rehab. 24 M4 competition. Not the worst thing in the world. I just bought my first M last year. I've almost had it a year now. And I love them. Yeah, all-wheel drive's where it's at. It's got to be all-wheel drive. Okie Light. Your name is Okie Light. I started out in an F-150 long bed farm truck. So glad my parents got rid of the Geo Metro before I turned 16. Well, Dad tried to plow the field with the Geo Metro.
And we need a little more ground clearance, Monty.
And that back axle never made it out of that field, boy.
That's cute.
Amazing.
I remember when I had my first beer.
Whoa, fellas. I'll come to Jake's defense here. My daily driver is a VW Golf 6-speed manual TDI.
Okay.
Certain such and like people on this show.
I like the Golf R, but I can't.
Dude, I think that
now having owned all-wheel drive, I'm going to really struggle to not have all-wheel drive.
I do believe that you would lubricate the back pipe and do bad things in public if you had a Golf R.
Mm-hmm.
You love that car that much.
I do.
You'll just see one go by.
It is an all-purpose Swiss Army knife, no question about it.
When we were in Arizona for spring training, we were eating breakfast and a Golf R drove by. And you see slowly turn his head. And then we were all trying to figure out why the table raised up. And, there's some drinks were spilled. And then as the car got out of sight, all of a sudden the table went down. I don't know.
Things leveled out.
Things leveled out.
Yeah,
welcome to the nightmare. Hey, Roche, it's 5:00 somewhere. That's what I'm saying. Honda Civic reluctantly crouched at the starting line, engine knocking, pumping out of time. Hey, man, I got a Cobb tune on this Civic.
Money.
Look out. I mean, I got to tell you what, this thing's a 2.0 and you're in for an ass whooping.
Yeah, me and Nico, Llama, me, your mama showed up together in our Hondas and it was great.
Nico showed up on a llama. Roche, it's 5:00 everywhere. I believe that's true. I've heard that. Love my Toyota 4Runner 2004.
Hey, see, and I can respect that.
They run forever.
Listen, I'm not a huge Toyota guy, but there's no disputing Toyotas run forever. If you're a Toyota person,
yes,
great.
They do.
I'm down. I'm cool.
Danny Kiger. Now he's a member. I can call him DK.
Hey, DK.
Hey, DK.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Don't suck with this take.
No, I'm kidding. I had a 2004 Volkswagen Golf R32. The VR6 with the manual transmission was magical.
Those were good days, sir.
Will you ever drive a car that's not stick? Or excuse me, manual?
I mean, I think, I do think that there are a lot of times where I'm like, all right, like we were just in Chicago. We had an SQ5. Love driving that car. A lot of fun to drive that car. So I'm definitely, and I've said this before on the show, I'm definitely a 2-car person. Got to have one car that's paid off, that is the fun car. Next car, is going to be a tough decision for sure.
Capazzo has a problem with you.
Why?
He says, Jake, you're stupid. No, he did.
Okay.
I threw that in. He didn't say that. I did. Because it's true. I'm just trying to help you out. The Golf R is all-wheel drive. That's my dream car after a Stage 3 tune.
Yeah.
Performance hatchback known for its all-wheel drive system, specifically the 4Motion system.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that the Audi Quattro is the best all-wheel system I've ever rode.
And I believe in, Lewis, don't get all pissed off. I think 4Motion is one step below Quattro. There's a difference between the two or whatever.
It is correct.
But it's very good in the snow. No question about it.
That's why I brought up Quattro.
Yeah.
It's the same company.
Yeah.
By the way, I have 2 daily driver options, my Harley or a POS 97K 1500 yard truck.
Yeah, see, you won't catch me on the back of a bike, dude. I just think it's so dangerous nowadays.
Yeah. Wife drives a 25 Kia Sportage hybrid. Love it. Nothing wrong with a hybrid. I drove a Chrysler minivan with a stick in France once. But why did you drive with the stick in your hand? Why didn't you just leave it? Was it like a branch you picked up in a park?
Bro, what do you need the space of the minivan for in France? Do I even want to know what you did in the back of that thing?
I'm trying to make a tree branch joke here, and you're like wondering what child he's putting in the back. I'm simply saying you drove a minivan with a stick. Is that
macaque?
I wasn't going there.
Stay hard.
I wasn't. They make minivans in manual? Okay. Why did I find this so funny? I have no idea why this is funny.
It's so funny.
It is, though. Final one, Sergeant Green, have a 21 Toyota 4Runner TRD off-road premium.
Okay, now here's the discussion.
God, did you get if you're buying TRD off-road,
Anita, Dick, and me.
that
money cannot be replaced. That is so much money.
Did you buy pre-owned or did you buy new? Have to know.
Are we really going to get into this? I don't buy new cars. Well, I just did a year ago. But my wife really
No redos.
I'm not, I'm a guy. I don't buy new cars. I buy, we're a CPO house and stuff. I don't believe in buying new cars.
Yeah, you buy at the bottom of the depreciation curve. Yeah. You get the best deal.
Freak.
Dude, this cough
I'm
is
so tired of
bad,
being
dude.
sick. I've been sick for like 10 days, you guys, and it is absolutely wearing me out.
So bad.
I've seen a Chrysler minivan with manual. Okay.
Clearly they're
My
made.
82 Pinto had an explosive 5-speed ride. Yeah, because if you got
I got an explosive ride.
Up. Oh! The answer should have been his 82 Pinto had an explosive 5-speed ride. Do you guys remember how dangerous Pintos were if you got rear-ended? My God. You would not live to see the end of it. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders right here on the Monty Show. Because I got to know, why do you guys dislike Shedeur Sanders? I don't understand it. I don't pretend to understand it, but somebody has to make me understand it because I think he is the best quarterback in the draft. And yet I think there's a chance. I don't think he'll be anything less than the third, but there are some projections that have him fifth in quarterback drafting. Fifth, not second. Almost nobody first. Fifth, I need to understand, why do you hate Shedeur Sanders? Let's talk about that after this from Prize Picks.
Yo, you think Dallas' Power 4 gonna drop 30 tomorrow?
Why you tripping? Did you see his mom made a post about going to the game?
What?
Hold up. Is Mama gonna be there?
He's been averaging like 34 points a game when she's there.
At least 40 when she be on that Jumbotron.
He don't like to let his mama down.
Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Cash in on your sports fandom with Prize Picks.
Cash in on your sports fandom with Prize Picks. Open a new Prize Picks account. Use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more. And again, I'm all in tonight. I am all in. I am on Demon Watch tonight.
Demon.
And I'll put it up here again. That says $20, $20 hairs. I put up $20 to win 400. My picks tonight on Prize Picks, Jung-Hoo Lee with the San Francisco Giants. You don't know who he is. One of the hottest hitters in baseball. I need 2 singles out of him. Spencer Torkelson.
Hey, Torquey.
Detroit at Milwaukee. I need a double out of Spencer Torkelson. And Aaron Judge. I need 1 RBI. I picked 3 on a flex play. If all 3 of them hit, bros, we're winning 400.
Yeah.
We're winning 400. We'll let you know what happens on that. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. You guys, it's super easy. Download it on your phone. Open a new Prize Picks account using the promo code Monty. You make a $5 deposit. They'll give you 50 more from Prize Picks. Let's